Good morning, everybody, and a happy Saturday morning to you. A big thank you to Marcia, the Duchess of Truth, on Twitter again for this fabulous thumbnail. I love this. I bet you can guess what we're going to talk about today. This is really something. Again, another really long video. We do have a lot of royal family news today, though, also as well. And Louis had his birthday. We're going to cover all that. Let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start out this morning with the Duchess of Gloucester. On April 14th, she went to visit Spadework, which is located in Kent. This is a charity that provides training and opportunities for work for adults with learning disabilities. This is to help people become more independent, feel less isolated, live healthier lives. So they operate a nursery. They provide various activities, including specialized workshops to help trainees build confidence. They've expanded its services to include a red room for creating podcasts, which is supported by the Screwfix Foundation. I think that's wonderful. And still sticking with the Duchess of Gloucester, she went to Copenhagen for a symbolic visit after the family's centenary commemorations for the Queen. Remember, this young lady was born in Denmark, and she is a long-serving working royal married to Prince Richard, the Duke of Gloucester. She's 79 years old, and she remains one of the most quietly dedicated figures within the wider royal family. So she goes to Copenhagen. She made a stop at St. Albans Church, the Anglican church where she serves as protector. Now, the church has long been a focal point for the British community in Denmark, and it's a symbol of culture between the two countries. One of the things that she also did while she was there was she inspected the tree that she planted in Churchill Park in connection with the celebration of the 80th anniversary of Denmark's liberation. That tree was planted in April of 2025. When it was a little tiny sapling, it looks like it grew amazingly. And of course, no visit would be complete without a gorgeous bouquet of flowers. I really like this woman. I always have. Beautiful lady, and I love the color red on her. It looks great. All right, let's move on to the Duke of Edinburgh. On April 22nd, he visited the Butter Market in Cornwall. It looks like they took an historic site and they transformed it into Cornwall's first food hall. And now it's a growing cultural hub. Love it. Let's move on now to Prince William, or as I like to call him, Hunky Dunky Daddy. On April 23rd, he stepped out for a solo royal event. He paid a visit to the headquarters of the British Formula E team, Jaguar TCS Racing. And the trip was to highlight the hub's approach to electrification, innovation, and sustainability. We know sustainability is a big thing for Prince William. He's an advocate for the natural world, just like King Charles, and we know all about the Earthshot Prize. Now, Formula E is the first all-electric international single-seater championship in the world and is considered to be the fastest-growing motorsport series. It is the first sport to be certified with a net zero carbon footprint since its inception in 2014. And in January, it was the first global sport to achieve a B Corps certification, which is a very prestigious social and environmental performance standard. Now, on Thursday, he went to the headquarters for himself. He toured the state-of-the-art facility. He met everyone from engineers to graduates to decorated Formula Jaguar driver Mitch Evans. He also got a really close-up look at how the Jaguar team designs, develops, and manufactures their, car and future race cars in-house. And he got to step into the remote operations room where the Jaguar TCS racing engineers support their colleagues on the track. He also, as you can clearly see, got to sit in one of those cars. Those things are super, super fast. And Mr. Hunky Dunky Daddy be looking extra hunky today. Love it. Next up, we have King Charles. He met up with Scottish Fire and Rescue Service crews along with representatives from Police Scotland, British Transport Service, Network Rail, and Glasgow City Council at Dumfries House on Wednesday to thank them for their heroic efforts in the response and recovery that occurred during the Union Street fire. The fire itself was so large, it took 300 firefighters over 4 days to bring it under control. And unfortunately, some buildings were damaged, but they did prevent damage to some of the city's most historic buildings, which I think is wonderful. So I think it's wonderful, though, that the king went out of his way to go and meet these people, all the crews that were involved in the response to the incident. So very nice. And for me, I just want to throw out there, I think the king is looking a little bit healthier. You know, he's not so gray. I notice that after he has one of his chemos or whatever treatment he's getting, he tends to look a little gray. Looks good here. Now, while the king was there at Dumfries House, he was awarded a Blue Peter Green Badge for his amazing work in protecting the environment. I think that's lovely. It was in recognition of his personal commitment to sustainability, especially through his work with the King's Foundation. Now, while he was there, he also met some secondary school pupils who were recognized for their work promoting sustainability. He met with some primary pupils taking part in potting in the foundation's Growing Together, Cooking Together program. And I just love that. FYI, this is not the first time Charles and Camilla got a Blue Peter badge. They got a gold one in 2023, and he was awarded for his environmental work as well as his support of young people through the King's Trust. Now, that box that you saw in the previous picture is a time capsule. It's going to be buried. Another Blue Peter badge was placed in the time capsule, and it will be opened in 100 years. I love stuff like that. All right, time to move on. And let's move on to Prince Louis. We know that on the 23rd, it was his birthday. He turned 8. Can you guys believe this? Boss Baby is 8 years old. Now, of course, we've seen all these previous pictures of him through the years on his birthday. But now that he's turning 8, this is a big one. He looks so grown up. And of course, there was the royal tradition of sharing a new photo. And we also know that the tradition is that Catherine used to take the pictures. She took a lot of the pictures. Now, this picture was taken earlier in April during a family vacation to a seaside region of Cornwall. But this next picture was not taken by William or Catherine. It was taken by Matt Porteous. That's Catherine's go-to photographer. I just find it interesting, you know. Listen, we've seen him on his first balcony appearance. We've seen him looking absolutely adorable. We saw him on his first red carpet appearance. We saw him on his first balcony appearance at the Platinum Jubilee with his great grandmother. We saw him, at church. We saw him at the King's coronation. We've seen him. But when you realize through the years how quickly this boy is growing, stay little for a little while longer, Boss Baby. Anyway, here's the official picture that was released for his birthday. He looks absolutely adorable yet comfortable. And we were treated, which I think was lovely, to a video that shows Louis enjoying, digging in the sand. Looks like he might be learning how to surf or scuba dive due to the wetsuit. And is that a cricket bat? I'm not 100% for sure, but it's obvious that these kids are growing up well, unlike other people's children. Anyway, as is typical, the Daily Mail looked up the sweater to get the price of it. It's £42. It's a British designer. We know that Catherine supports British designers. And, it's affordable, but it's probably a hand-me-down because that's what she does with all of her kids' clothes from George. A big thank you to Carol also for showing us what he was wearing. Congratulations, Louis, turning 8. Oh my God, little Boss Baby's not a little baby anymore. That makes me a little sad. I'm not going to lie. All right, let's move on. You have this guy, Michael Whipfley, I think is how you say it. He was on some sort of a podcast, and he basically said that he and his wife, Lisa, were invited to attend the event that was organized by Nexus Australia. There were 50 guests at the event where he spoke. about 36 minutes. The social media campaign that he fronts is the one aimed at raising the minimum social media age. So, of course, that's the one that Harry and Meghan were at. They apparently had been briefed about the campaign beforehand. Listen, this article is what it is, but there's one thing about it that kind of caught my attention. Basically, he asked Harry for his number. So instead of just giving him the number, he called a lady over and said, "Can we exchange details over here?" So Harry either didn't know his own phone number or he had to get permission from somebody to hand the number over. Yeah, he's whooped. Well, guys, it's official. The trip to Australia has been called a dud. That all of the events that they went to where they whined and they complained, and then, Meghan goes to meet the Bondi attack survivors, and then she made her clothes available for purchase, looked really, really bad. And then she said, I was the most trolled person in the world. It's being said that the fact that she met those people and then had the clothes available immediately, that Queen Elizabeth was probably doing cartwheels in her grave, because there's no way in heck she would approve of something like that. She would have been disgusted by it. A source said that immediately online reaction after Meghan said she was the most trolled person was there was a notable surge in discussion as soon as those remarks were made, and it took on a mocking tone. So what was intended as a serious reflection on online abuse quickly became another focal point for the kind of behavior she was describing. And the laughably ironic consequence of her saying she's the most world's trolled person has been more trolling. Well, let's move on to the big story of the day. It was Louis's birthday, so we knew Harry and Meghan were going to do something, and we were hanging on with bated breath, and then it happened. Harry went back to Ukraine again. He gets off the train on April 23rd. So the first images show him getting off the train and hugging people. By the way, he was wearing his Invictus Game logo jacket because he wanted to remind people back home and around the world what Ukraine is up against. I think it's because, come to find out, or as it was reported, Invictus paid for his trip there by private jet, no less. As you remember from my previous video, I told you there's money missing from Invictus. This was not an Invictus event. It had nothing to do with it. And Harry can't afford his own trip. So he's using Invictus to fund these things that he's doing. I think that's just terrible. So anyway, he shows up and he is going to give a speech. Why he's giving this speech, I don't know. But okay. It's also being reported that Chris Shipp, the royal reporter who's always been alleged to be a squatty, flew with him on that private jet. So Harry goes right into I need to give a speech mode. He's talking at the Kiev Security Conference, which was attended by Western defense and government officials. He goes, "Oh, it's such an honor to be back in this country. I've been here 3 times, and I am here as a soldier who understands service, as a humanitarian who has seen the human cost of conflict, and as a friend of Ukraine who believes the world must not grow used to this war or numb to its consequences." He used his buzzwords, resilience, visible losses, trauma, psychological strain, threat, bombardment. We've heard all of this before. These are his buzzwords. He throws them into every single speech that he gives. Harry, who represents nobody but himself, stood there. Remember when he was with Spotify, he wanted to interview Putin about his childhood drama? Well, he gave a message to Putin directly. This is what he said.
President Putin, no nation benefits from the continued loss of life we are witnessing. There is still a moment now to stop this war. I am not here as a politician. I am here as a soldier who understands service, as a humanitarian who has seen the human cost of conflict, and as a friend of Ukraine who believes the world must not grow used to this war or numb to its consequences.
Now, I can just imagine Putin's reaction to this. Who is this guy? He's a nobody. He's probably not going to listen to him. I'm sure Putin probably is actually laughing. Harry, in his speech, then of course there's more of it, actually accused Russia of committing atrocities, including targeted attacks on civilians and the forced transfer of children. That's right, kidnapping of children. He's accused them of mass killings and torture. He might have just made it worse. But Harry wasn't done yet. No, we know that his father has an upcoming state visit to the United States, and so Harry decides this is a good time to take a swipe at Donald Trump. Here's what he said to Mr. Trump.
The United States has a singular role in this story, not only because of its power, but because when Ukraine gave up nuclear weapons, America was part of the assurance that Ukraine's sovereignty and borders would be respected. This is a moment for American leadership, a moment for America to show that it can honor its international treaty obligations, not out of charity, but out of its own enduring role in global security and strategic stability.
Is there anybody here who thinks that Trump is going to listen to one word that comes out of Harry's mouth? I'm sure that Trump is laughing. As a matter of fact, there was a briefing in the Oval Office, and this is what happened during that briefing.
Prince Harry today has said that he would like to see you do more to end the war in Ukraine. Do you think it's appropriate for a royal to make those comments ahead of the visit on Monday?
Prince Harry?
Yes, sir.
How's he doing?
How's
How's his wife? Please give her my regards, okay? No, I don't know. I know one thing. Prince Harry is not speaking for the UK.
Now, the problem with this is Harry is blurring the institutional boundaries, and he risks dragging the monarchy, whether they like it or not, into territory that they are constitutionally bound to avoid. And Harry might want to think twice before getting involved in U.S.-Russia politics. I mean, he's a joke without diplomatic standing. He has no power to affect any change. And the truth is, a true diplomat knows that you never humiliate or enrage a leader. You coax, you flatter, you use their ego to make your solution their solution. So Prince Harry running to Ukraine, declaring the world is craving American leadership, could instead backfire and light a fire under Trump that benefits no one. This is Harry craving relevance and importance away from the respected royal family, and it shows just how naive he really is on the world stage. Now, GB News said something about that exact topic. They were spot on. Listen to this.
To him. He can't resist it, can he, having a little pop at them?
No, but also I love that because I myself despise Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, and I think it's hilarious that we have a British prince that's come to America and is still begging the Americans for help.
And what was he doing getting involved in the Ukraine situation today?
I mean, it's kind of the classic situation you see with both of them where they're desperate for attention. They've had a failed Netflix show. She's tried selling her jam. And he's completely ignored the fact that the United States is the single largest donor to Ukraine. We've committed $180 billion. $127 billion of that is going directly to Ukraine for government funding, for humanitarian effort, for the military. So I'm pretty sure we've stepped up and we've done our part. So the fact that he's just deciding to try to put his foot in it is a little odd to me.
Why does Harry, do you think, feel the need to get involved in politics like that?
I think, and this is going to get a little personal, maybe psychological, but I really do feel like he is missing out on being a part of the royal family and a
Purpose.
I really do feel like this is a man without purpose and a prince without purpose. And you look
that would be the name of his next book.
It should be. But you look at his family legacy and how he, was born to Diana and to Charles and had this incredible opportunity to really do something significant with his life and kind of follow in his mother's footsteps.
Yeah.
And instead he just squandered it. And he squandered it for what? A B-list actress and some washed up property in Santa Barbara or Montecito?
Yeah.
I think it's sad.
So now this is where things get dangerous. I've been willing to oversee a lot of what Harry does, but he's standing there. What do you see on either side of the stage? That's right, the British flag. So he's standing there as the son of the king, giving a speech to senior defense leaders. This is where things have gone too far. This is where somebody needs to step in and start stripping titles. For those of you wondering who invited Harry to this kerfuffle, it would be the Kiev Security Forum. They are the ones that invited him to come speak. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Kiev Security Forum is supported by the International Renaissance Foundation, and that was funded by George Soros. Ding, ding, ding. Now, it wouldn't be a speech also if Harry didn't mention Diana, of course. He talked about his mother and her work with the Halo Trust. Listen, for those of you who didn't see it or didn't notice it, Harry also is wearing a pin on his shirt, which is the Ukrainian flag and the UK flag put together. This is more than just Harry going and talking. This is overstepping the line in a massive way. And it doesn't look good up until now because the king has taken no action against him. He needs to. Now, when Harry was done giving his speech, he sat down on a panel discussion. I can't imagine that he had anything else more to say because let me point something out to you. Harry is always banging on about his time in the army, Captain General of the Marines, and how he has PTSD, not from what he did, but from looking at somebody else when he was flying home. The curtain blew open. He saw injured people, and from that, he got PTSD. Let's also not forget that, in my opinion, Harry wasn't really a soldier. He played soldier because Harry had his own specialized army protection while he was in Afghanistan. And when his base was attacked and other people were killed, it is absolutely true that Harry was whisked away to a specialized bunker. He was never in danger. And that is why they call him Bunker Harry. So he was in the army for 10 years, and yes, they sent him to Afghanistan, but he didn't really fight. Let's not also forget that while he was a captain general, he had the choice between going to a memorial for some Marines who were killed or going to the Lion King. He chose to go to the Lion King because he wanted to pimp Meghan out for some work. Because at this point, right after their child had supposedly been born, they were already planning to leave for California, and Harry was already trying to get Meghan in with Disney, and that's what this whole discussion was about. So I'm so sick of him going, I was a soldier, I served 10 years, I did this, I did that, when the truth is he played at being a soldier. He really wasn't a full-fledged soldier. So, of course, the news was going to pick up on this. Patrick Christie from GB News had something to say, which I think was spot on. Listen to this.
Some big news of the evening, which is that President Trump has been speaking about Harry and Meghan ahead of the King's visit. I think what Harry should do is send Meghan to Ukraine, and she can sort it out, because she could just sprinkle some flower petals over it.
That would be beautiful.
So it's at this time that people are really urging the royal family to step in and take action. Harry's sitting there next to Poland's former president and the head of the office of the president at Ukraine and next to the former prime minister of Ukraine. But he didn't officially represent Britain or the royal family. But I think a lot of people are confused because he makes it look like he is. So while he was there at the event, people are trying to figure out why a non-working royal who has no influence in US or UK governments is speaking. And royal family, when are you going to put a stop to this? They have to put a stop to this. The king needs to address why Harry thinks he can make political statements. This is absolutely crossing a line. People will not be told by Harry what to think politically, and sending messages to Putin is just flat out outrageous. So what do you guys think? Do you think the royal family is finally going to throw up their hands and say it's enough? Or do you think they're going to stick their heads in the sand? I really want your comments on that. So put them down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the links to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my father's book, which remains up for sale on Amazon, as well as a link to my Amazon wish list and my physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.